This is why I got into NASCAR racing. I spent decades learning how to do this and watching the best and studying it and understanding it. And I'm going to get rewarded for this. And then, we all crash at the end. Like that has become normal in the Daytona 500. That's what then kills my enthusiasm for this whole thing.
The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media.
Hey guys, welcome to Actions Detrimental. I'm Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11 wrecked National Debt Relief Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Jared.
I'm just Red Vest 311.
No, you're not just Red Vest 311. I called it. I called it last week. One of Jared's guys wins.
Yeah, are you not on the victory tour?
I will be in 6 hours.
Oh, yeah? You got to go to New York or something?
Yep.
I'm happy for you.
No, you're not.
Not in the least little bit.
But I'm here, Travis. You said I wouldn't be here, and I'm here.
Travis, I appreciate the work you put in to prepare me for these episodes. And by the way, Dirty Mo, I'm going to need to get Travis a camera. Okay. He's becoming more and more of a vocal part of this podcast. He needs his own camera. But I just feel like off script is how this is going to go today.
That's
Absolutely.
fine.
You know what I mean? Like we got the things we need to chat about. But I just, this is one of these mornings where I woke up full Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn.
So like, you text us.
I'm just so angry. I woke up pissed.
Yeah.
And it's about everything. And it's like, now I know why drivers retire. Like, I have that feeling. Like, I'm tired of this.
When did you get mad?
And there's just a big picture to this. But I don't know. I wasn't mad in the moment, right? If I was really mad in the moment when I talked to Cole on pit road, I would have, gave it to him. But I asked the question saying, hey, why'd you turn left down the straightaway? Like, and he's like, he said what he said in his interviews that I don't know. I haven't seen it and whatnot. But, I just feel as though I think today is going to be seen as sour grapes. But yeah, it is. Because I worked so hard to work on my craft at all types of racetracks. And I spent so many years growing up, trying to get better and, how can I get better in this area, that area, learn from some of the best. I was very fortunate early in my career to be blessed being on the racetrack with Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, some of the best super speedway racers you could imagine. I just watched them thinking, wow, like I'll never beat these guys in a race. Like their IQ on a super speedway was just off the charts. And as a young guy, I was watching them thinking I've got so much to learn to be competitive on these types of tracks. But times have changed, and I find myself in this position where it's like, are we now going to start viewing the Daytona 500 winners like we question our champions? Like it's a bunch of questions now. Like, yeah, but it's always the yeah, but, and I hate that for the winners because, this is their big moment to shine and it's a big accomplishment. But I hate the fact of how much luck is involved in NASCAR now. I used to hate the word luck because it's like, and it was so overused in our sport for decades. Before the next gen came along, people would talk about, luck. And they still do on a NASCAR media overuses the word luck so much. They always have. And it's like, no, you got to put yourself in the position to not capitalize on others' misfortune. That's luck. Like, you needed them to have misfortune for you to win. That is luck. But it's making the moves at the end of the race to win. And it's that, wow, that guy just did something that it's hard to do. It shows that he's better than the rest of them. And I feel like we've lost that. It's just a matter of wrecks and at super speedways. And I feel like the Daytona 500 is a microcosm of the sport in general when it comes to how we crown our champion now as well. Like, it's just and this started with the competition group a decade ago when we started cutting horsepower, because we want it to look good on TV. We want you to think that they can pass, but not that they can actually pass. And it just, for me, has gotten to the place where, in my feelings, and I know this because I've been part of the sport for over 20 years now, the entertainment of it has far overtaken the sport of it. And I don't know how we reverse things. You will hear all week from media, that's just super speedway racing. And all that is a cop-out for those who make stupid moves. It's no one holds anyone accountable anymore. It's just, you chalk it up to, well, it happens all the time. How about we actually call out what it is, right? Are the cars making us do this? Are the drivers doing this? Like, it's a combination of both, I believe. But I'm losing my love of just the sport of it, because I feel like it's going by the wayside for the sake of entertainment. And I don't think anyone built this car for super speedway entertainment, but I tried to explain to you on the plane yesterday, was it you or my mom says, well, how do we get here?
It was me. That the last six have ended. Last six 500s have ended in a major wreck or under caution.
Where do I start? Okay, it starts by, over time, we used to run 200 miles an hour at super speedways, and the cars were hard to really drive and handle, and like Daytona 500 was a battle of the best driver and the best team that brought the best car that had a great setup under it, and some of the greats of our sport could navigate the traffic and use it to their advantage, and it just, that art is gone now. Just like the art of passing on short tracks is gone now. Now we just knock each other out of the way and say, that's just short track racing. Like, we gotta get this thing back. We don't have to. I mean, I'll be gone shortly, and this can just continue down this road.
Yeah, but you're still going to be owning a team, so it's still.
I know, but that's what upsets me as well, right? I spend so much money at 2311 to ensure that my team and my drivers have the best cars available to go out there and compete for a win. But it's just such a crapshoot now, and I hate that what is supposed to be our most prestigious race, a showcase of heroes,
the Super Bowl, they call it,
is luck. It is luck, and I don't care how else you want to say it. It is luck, and it's luck because you have to, and you just have to avoid the wrecks. And then if you can get lucky enough to where you avoid the wreck, and then the track stays green, and you get to race back, like it's just, I don't know anymore. And I've grown really, really agitated with how we've gotten here. And I, to go back to where I said about, we were used to run 200, right? And so the cars were hard to handle. Tires wore out. And so it was just such a big factor. That's why you saw the cars, let's just say in the 2010s, we would give each other more space because our cars were always out of control. And so we were just trying to keep them on track ourselves, right? Then we had a few incidents of cars flipping, the outrage. We got to keep the cars on the ground. Can't have them flipping, so we're going to keep slowing them down, and we're going to keep slowing them down. And now we're running like 175, 180 at these tracks. Still can't keep them on the ground. Still flipping. But so now they've slowed us down so much to where every car is just planted to the ground, which is why we're going down the straightaway just absolutely ramrodding each other from behind. So it's a product of the cars are way too easy to drive. They have way too much grip, way too much drag. What it does is it creates a great optic on TV that these cars are 2x2, 3x3, but ain't nobody passing nobody. We're out there just riding, saving fuel for the greater part of the race, but NASCAR fixed it. They did throw a nice, fuel mileage caution there with about 40 to go to make sure everyone can make it. I don't know. We definitely should address it. I've said on this show now for years, let's not ignore that we have a super speedway issue. And for my mental health, for my physical health, like I just really want us to address super speedway racing. I'm nearly done with my opening dialogue, but entertainment has taken over. And I mean, what does William Byron say when they ask him on Kelly, like, how did you do this? Just was.
He avoided two of the three big wrecks.
I didn't get wrecked. That's not what you want to hear. You want to hear, my team brought an amazing car. We had great strategy. And at the end, I made the move to win the race. Coming off turn 4, I made the move, and I can't believe it worked out. And, but it just is. It's just not. It's not fair to William. It's not fair to the 24 team. It's all going to count the same to them in their record books. The record books are going to show he went back to back, won the race, and in years past, 5-10 years from now, nobody will remember.
Isn't 2/3 of what you just said though still true? Is that the team needs to bring a good car, and there has to be some strategy to be in it.
Yeah, you got to make the race.
But besides that, you're saying it's not. Everyone's bringing a good car for the most part.
Everyone's bringing a good car. They're all
the same.
They're all the top 30 fastest cars. Yeah, it's all fine. It's just at that point, why has it become expected that we're all going to just take each other out?
Because apparently it's acceptable to just say, well, it's a Daytona 500.
That's correct. Because you won't hear any media holding anyone accountable for making ridiculous moves. That when they say, I was just going for it. Yeah, but you made a wrong move. You went for it and took out the field. It's just we don't hold anyone accountable, and so we just chalk it up to that's what we expect, because it happens year after year after year, and the thing is it's getting out of, like, we keep trending in this direction, like we keep heading more and more, and the luck. The winner is lucky. Our champion is lucky. Like, that is not good for being legitimate in the sports landscape.
You've been on the end of plenty of misfortunate endings over the last handful of years, certainly since we've had this podcast, but never before have you texted Travis and I at 4:02 a.m. after we got home at midnight, by the way, and just said, can't sleep, need an extra hour, see y'all an hour later for this taping. So you were up all last night thinking about what you just said, I'm assuming.
I mean, yes and no. Again, I wasn't crazy upset. I went back and watched the race, and I digested it. I try not to get too emotional quickly. Like I do sometimes. I definitely overreact in the moment sometimes. But, I try to be calculated in my post-race. Like, let me try to give the benefit of the doubt to Cole here and the 41 team. Like, I get it, that what you're trying to do, but let me try to give you some healthy advice from someone that has done this for 20 years. You're not going to win it by door slamming on the backstretch. If you want to door slam, let's do it coming to the line. If you want to spin us out coming to the line, like that's the time to do it. But you always have to live to see the final corner. And that's what I don't understand when I heard, Cole, I have nothing against Cole whatsoever. But like when he was doing his interview with Bob and he was like chucking it up and laughing, like it just caused two of the last major big wrecks of the 500. And he was like, let's just go for it. You don't have to. When you're pushing the 20 car there, that was not a dire situation. You're in a great spot to push the 20 clear. You get clear, race for the win. There's plenty of time left. But some of these guys just get so excited that they think that they have to make a move now. And I got to run into you right now. There is no tomorrow.
Well, were you ever there? 2009, 2010? Were you in that mind space when you had not 20 years of experience?
I'm trying to think. On super speedways, I was more on the side.
Not necessarily in super speedways, in big moments, right? Daytona 500, you're only a handful of years into your career. You're in this moment where it could change your life, your team season.
Back then, races didn't play out like this. So it seems like those that are participating in it would understand and see the results every time you choose to make contact. You know what the end result is going to be. That's what I don't understand. It's why, in my opinion, right now, one of the greatest super speedway drivers we got is Austin Cindric. When I go to the outside of him, he doesn't try to block. He knows what the result of that is going to be. He wants to live to race it off a 4. And he knows if I get beside him, his race, it's not over. It's not over. So let's play this thing out. We got a mile or more to go in this race. It's okay. It's okay. We can be 3 wide. Let's see who gets the biggest push here. That's why we had a fantastic finish at Atlanta. Everyone's making such a big deal about Atlanta. 3 wide, racing for the lead. Did those guys touch each other? No. They raced it out to the finish. And we saw a fantastic finish, and it's hailed as one of the greatest races ever because we had a 3 wide close finish. I just don't think we're ever going to see that in Daytona again because the drivers just lose their minds and they just don't understand that, and this goes for the 47 and 22. Like, what are you doing? It's 15 to go. I don't understand. And I was watching these guys. That wreck happened 5 laps beforehand. I saw these guys weaving back and forth, cutting off lines that are coming 10 miles an hour faster than them. And it's like, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get wrecked every time like that. And it just takes the sport out of it in my mind because it's on us. It's the drivers. We're the ones making these horrible decisions, but the car is our cart to acting this way because they're so planted to the ground. We're running so slow now that we feel like we're just going to, the best way is just to run into each other. Hopefully you can knock that guy forward.
But you drivers are selfish, right? Aren't you thinking, well, if this move behind me is going to keep me from winning the race, well, then I might as well end up wrecked. Like, I'm going to lose regardless. That's what you're thinking in the moment.
Repeat what you just said.
I said, aren't you drivers selfish? And that if you feel that a move or a run coming from behind you is going to pass you or keep you from winning the race, well, then there's no difference in you ending up.
Because you never know what can happen. But
it seems like that's what's lost among a lot of drivers in this race.
I was third coming off the final corner when Newman and Blaney, remember? They came with a run. I didn't block it. I'm like, hey, if I try to block this, we just all end up wrecked. I'm going to either hope to connect to the 12. This is back in 2020. I'm either hoping I'm connecting to the 12, we get a run on the 6, or maybe those guys wreck. That's another avenue for me to win. But thinking that you just initiate contact and that's going to win you the race, it's 0%.
Is the moment just too big for some drivers?
Yeah, do you think this lack of experience for Cole?
I don't know. I mean, this happened so quickly. It's why I didn't really throw Cole under the bus. But I'm a little agitated because he wrecked the 20 too in all those cars. So that's 2 in a row. And so is the moment too big? Probably. But, they find themselves in a position that they haven't been in before and they just don't know what to do. Right. And I'm here to try to give constructive criticism and saying, you don't have to do it. Trust me on this. Race it out. See the finish line. Then do whatever you want to do. If you want to turn left on the 2 cars below you when you come off turn 4, go for it. I think one of the 3 of you will win. Maybe it's you. But if you do it down the backstretch or the last lap or 15 to go, like the 22 and 47, you will end up wrecked talking about it when you leave the infield care center.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think, from your perspective, you got 3 of these things. You've got 20 years. You're going to go to 30 plus more races this year with a chance to win every week. Some of these drivers who were up front yesterday with 2 to go are not in that situation. They're not going to go to the racetrack every week thinking they can win. And then they're in this moment, and it's like, oh, what do I do?
My favorite quote from Moneyball is that when the competition's making a mistake, don't interrupt them. But I'm here trying to interrupt them and say, you don't have to do it this way.
That's because their mistake is going to cost your drivers.
Exactly right. That's why. Because
that's
it's
NASCAR.
Now it's affecting me, okay? I'm tired of getting taken out by just stupid moves that we chalk up to. That's just super speedway racing. It's because people are afraid to call out what they see. It's not just super speedway racing. It's dumbass racing.
Can you drivers hold each other accountable? Is there a way to self-police some of this?
No, no, I don't think so. I got a point penalty last time we self-policed. I don't know. I understand if you don't like me, you're going to go off on social media right now. It's just, this is sour grapes and whatnot, but I'm telling you, it's taking its toll on me that I work so hard to put myself in the right position. And I know, I know that there was not a thing I would do differently. Maybe, my mom asked me, was it you or my mom asked me, she says, what if you would have just pushed the 2 a little bit longer down the backstretch? And I was like, I thought about that. I thought about that in that moment, but the way our cars work, and to try to give y'all a kind of a inside baseball here, is that, you can only stay attached to somebody for so long when you start tandem drafting in these cars. And at any moment, that bubble can break. And what happens then is as soon as that bubble or that suction of your front bumper to their rear bumper, once it breaks that seal, then you just push that car out. And so when I got the run on him in the middle of 1 and 2 and got to him off of turn 2 and became attached to him, I can't risk that bubble breaking us apart. So at that moment, I'm like, okay, let me just get side by side with him right now, and then let's see where the help comes from. Maybe he gets the push, maybe I get the push, but let me just at least get position on him at this moment. It probably, had I came off the corner and stayed attached to, if I knew I could stay attached to him, I would have pushed him till the end of the straightaway and then pulled out going into turn 3. But there was just no guarantee, knowing how these cars tandem draft, that I was going to be able to stay attached for that long. So I needed to take the move when I had it.
Yeah, I think what's so disappointing to me about this finish was going back to, 5 to go before the second to last caution. Every move you made there with Cindric leading seemed or appeared so surgical. Like it just appeared like you knew what you were doing. It almost felt like you had like Cindric's car in the palm of your hand. Like you knew exactly how you're going to get around him, just every move you made. And then obviously the way it ends is like, we were set up for such a grand finish potentially.
Yeah.
And just chaos ensued.
Yeah. And that's why I actually felt really good racing with Cindric at the end, because I knew he wasn't going to make that. I mean, let's speak realistically. Is this probably one of Cindric's best chances to win this year? Yeah. But do you see him, making erratic, crazy blocks? No. It's because he understands, and he's got the same amount of experience as some of these guys. He's only been around 3 years. So I think that's why I said on this podcast last week, if I didn't win, who did I think I was going to win? Austin Cindric. I just, and you can see that he is on another level mentally, and it's why he puts himself in position so much. There's other reasons why. They qualify well. They do a great job on pit lane. They work really well as teammates. But Austin Cindric is just a guy I felt very confident in racing for the win against. Not that I was going to get the best of him, but it was like, I'm going to have a fair race here. He knows what he's doing. I know what I'm doing. This is going to be a good show. And, on the green, white, checkered restart, he got the push. He got clear of me. But it's like, I knew the whole time, like, I got something left. Like, I knew how to get one last run on him, and we did. But it just, dang it. I really would have liked to see what would happen.
Are you thinking on the last restart? Are you looking in your rearview mirror and being like, oh, wow, I got Cindric here next to me, and you clearly respect his ability and whatnot at these super speedways. But do you think about the other guys around you, like, oh, I don't know if they're going to act or drive the same way that Cindric and I are, and that kind of worries me.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, when they're giving me the lineup, right? They said on the radio, here's the top 10, here's how it could lay out, inside lane, outside lane, as I'm trying to make a decision on what lane I'm going to restart on. And I'm thinking the whole time, okay, if I go this lane, then that person's going to go that lane. But then who will they have behind them? Because typically on restarts, the most important cars are the third car in line and the fourth car in line. It's their jobs to get the line going. So you always are looking on TV at the first two cars. Hey, are they linked up? That's not usually the deciding factor on who clears. It's where's the third and fourth car in each line. The closer they are to the first car in their line, that line always typically goes. And so just didn't get organized quite as good. Riley gave me a great push, but he didn't have, whoever was behind him didn't stay close enough, and, it didn't work out. But it was like there was just no need for panic. Like we had 3 miles to go or something. And so many big runs were left to come. And but it was exciting. I mean, I felt good before that last restart because, I got to the lead by, I think I pushed Cindric to the lead, and then I got to push to go around them. And at that point I'm cleared and I'm like, okay, now this is where I want to be. And that at that moment, I'm like, I love it. I love that. Like I made the choice to make a few moves. It paid off. I'm leading the race on a green, white checker. Like this is why I got into NASCAR racing, is that I spent decades learning how to do this and watching the best and studying it and understanding it. And I'm going to get rewarded for this. And then, you know, we all crash at the end, like that has become normal in the Daytona 500. And that's what then kills my enthusiasm for this whole thing, is that this is what I wanted to do as a kid, and I reached the top level, and I was about to get my 4th. It was no guarantee, but I was going to have a really good shot at getting my 4th and putting myself in an elite company with the greats of our sport that won it, by the way, when there was like 2 cars on the lead lap. Like it's a different world now, and it's hard to put yourself in that class. And so it's frustrating because I don't know what else I do different. And the record book's going to show we finished 24th. And, you know, I mean, that's my rant on it. I don't know, you know, if I could just throw out my suggestion is NASCAR to please get drag out of these cars. Reduce spoiler size, please. I just think that we have got to get drag out of these race cars. It will fix so many things. I believe it will fix a little bit of the fuel mileage races that we have. Yes, you're always going to want to have the least amount of time on pit road, but it will allow us to pull out a line when we get moves, to get runs. It will allow us to not be so stuck to the racetrack, to, you know, not make us feel like we need to just hammer the car in front of us to go forward. Like you can do it by pushing through air instead of pushing on a bumper. Like I think getting a large chunk of drag out of these cars, reducing the horsepower back to what we had before. I just want to see us do something different to put the sport back in it and take luck back out of these prestigious events. Because what's happening is now our prestigious events are just all luck based. And I'm sorry, you will not reach legitimacy in sports that way.
In the drivers' meeting, NASCAR played a video with highlights from Daytona. I'm sure you watched it. And I'm sitting there watching and thinking, wow, like this is a spectacle. The Alabama gang does this and Dale wins this. And it was a great video. But now at the end of this race, I feel like you haven't had a moment that's going to go into that video for the last handful of years. Are you just losing the prestige of this event when it ends the way it does?
Why do you think NASCAR Social posts 20 times Dale Earnhardt's victories back in the day, or Dale Jr.'s? Those were, you knew that was the best driver and the best team on that day, and you saw them be surgical, and you knew they were just better than everyone else. And now, how do you create stars when luck is what is such a big factor? You don't. Stars are created on the racetrack by showing greatness. I just think that it's so watered down now that it's not. They're going to show the clips of the wreck. They're not going to show the clips of William Byron's winning move. They're just going to show the wreck. So I think that's a long-term issue. But that's my opinion. And this is a direction that this was a pointed direction in which we went in. And so I don't know that those in charge would want to reverse this. I think that
does it even bother them?
I don't think so. Do I think it bothers them? No, I don't think so. I think that they want it to look good and not be good.
Well, it certainly looks good because you guys are 2x2, 3x3 at 8 p.m.
And the casual
on
fan
Sunday
doesn't know
night.
it's 65%
Yeah, and the casual.
throttle.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I understand that. I understand that there's an element of entertainment that we are doing, and I don't want to downplay that because this is entertainment is what people tune in for. But I try to equate this to think about this. Okay. If you wanted basketball that was just straight entertainment, wouldn't you watch the Harlem Globetrotters? Because it's just, tricks and gimmicks and you tune into the NBA because it has skill. Like you see skill on display and you're seeing them do something that you have no chance to do. People tune into sports to see the great ones. Who's our great ones? I mean, Kyle Larson, we know that because he's done it over an extended period of time, all kinds of different tracks, but generally speaking, it's just I think it's a bigger thing that we got to work on is, letting the greats, such as, there's in my mind probably 8 really, really good drivers, and William Byron being in that group. Let the stars show their skill, and I think we were very fortunate for William Byron to win that race. Truthfully, I think how do we? Let me ask you this: how do we feel if John Hunter Nemechek was in William Byron's spot?
We'd hate it.
Yeah, probably.
So I think we got lucky on that front, as far as like promotion of the sport. This is a bit, William Byron legitimizes it because he won last year, and it's like, well, it's clearly not a game of chance. 2 in a row. So you're going to have that argument, but I just think that had it been someone else, I think you probably have more of a, whoa, like, can we do something to fix this? And that's not a knock on John Hunter. I just think that I believe that the people would view it differently. And I think that they already don't love what they're seeing,
Yeah. You've already explained to us how we got here, but why did we get here?
Why did we get here? Again, it's just a combination of, we've slowed ourselves down so much trying to keep the cars on the ground. We created a next gen car that's the same for everybody. People want to bring back like old speed weeks where we're there for a week and we have preseason testing. Folks, there's nothing else we can do to these cars. Like, we take the Lego set, we put the Lego set together. You can put the Lego set together however you want, but you got to put it, you got to put the Lego set together. It's not like we're trying different aerodynamic stuff, like what's going to be good in the draft versus what's going to be good for qualifying. Like that was a legit thing. We would just be burning tires and fuel. We got here by this common race car that, I guess the point was that, hey, make the cars same for everybody, and then the stars will, the drivers will be the biggest difference. But it's just not, NASCAR racing isn't that way. It's there's so many outside factors. When's the caution fall? Do you make it on fuel mileage? Blah blah blah. And that's part of our sport, right? I mean, that is the sporting aspect of it. But I just think it makes it really difficult to showcase the guys. I mean, I say that, and to counter my own argument, like Austin Cindric finds himself up front most of these super speedway races. But anybody want to check Austin Cindric's finishing record? It's not good on super speedways, but yet in my mind he's been the most dominant in next gen. Well, so that's not fair to him, and it's not his fault, right? It's somebody else making a ridiculous move that takes him out.
I mean, that's commonplace though, isn't it? That the best super speedway racers are usually finishing the race in the garage.
It is today, yes.
Do you have any issues with NASCAR allowing the field to race back to the checkered flag?
I mean, you see that, people are talking about, well, it's inconsistent. Listen, here's how this is going to go. If a wreck happens before the white, they will be quick to throw the yellow. If it happens after the white, they will be late to throw the yellow. That's just the way this is typically trending. So get used to it.
I'm okay with that though.
I mean, I was one of the last. I think I was the only one that crashed hard that was sitting there in turns 3 and 4. Was I going to affect the finish? No. I thought that the dispatch vehicles were there in a timely manner. My issue was I couldn't get the car refired. So I didn't have any issue with it at all. Riley spun, didn't make any contact, actually kept going. Was there
that saved the finish, didn't it? I mean, Riley gets loose there after taking the white and ends up head first in the wall. You're not even getting to the backstretch.
Yeah, because I think they'll let you go to turn 3. I think they would have let it, had he nosed it into the wall right after the start finish line, I think they probably would have let us race into 3 and then called it. Because they're not going to want you coming to the line full steam ahead.
Right.
I think the problem that the drivers have with it, and I saw it on our group text, is that, so we're racing back to the caution now, or we're racing back in the middle of wrecks. So initially, the reason that they throw the caution when they see heavy, cars making heavy damage is that they don't want you driving through there, and it's just a matter of then who holds it wide open and closes their eyes and hopes they don't hit anyone. And so by them not throwing the caution there, it actually rewarded those who kept their foot in the gas the entire way on the last lap. And, I was wrecked, and then somebody came up from the bottom and hit me in the left side door, like hard. And I don't know if it was because they kept their foot in it or they just got clipped or something, but I think from the driver's safety standpoint, they're a little worried that this is a slippery slope, that, you're still, by not throwing the caution, you're still rewarding those who keep your foot all the way in the gas.
Yeah. Does that also play a role in these finishes, and that maybe you drivers don't think anymore that, hey, we're racing back to the checkered flag, but instead we're just racing until another one of these guys out here makes a mistake and NASCAR throws the yellow. So therefore, you're racing down the backstretch thinking this race is over momentarily, because as soon as someone else makes a mistake, we're done. So I have to get all I can get in any particular moment.
Yeah.
Like the race is not over at the checkered flag. It's over when someone else makes a mistake.
That's how you would think it would go, but I don't know. I just think that from the drivers, I think they feel very vulnerable sitting in the middle of the racetrack. And just because it doesn't affect the finish, you don't throw a caution. So then I'm sitting in the middle of the racetrack in a green condition while cars are still coming. So that's unsafe for us drivers.
Yeah. I just mean in like the decision making of drivers on the last lap, that you're almost racing like you're expecting rain to hit any moment. That as soon as someone crashes, this race is over, and whatever position I'm in is the way I finish. Not the position I finish in is when I get to the checkered flag, because we're probably not going to get to the checkered flag.
Yep. Especially on these types of tracks, it's, that the wreck that could end it could happen at any moment. But I think, they gotten some grief over the finish of the truck race.
The duels.
Right? Huh?
Duels. The second duel.
Yeah. And so, we went the other way on this one, just let this one go. Again, I guess I'm okay with it, but I also understand some of the drivers that are upset that, I'm crashed on the racing surface and there's no caution. That tells everyone that's coming through my crash site, floor it, because you got to get to the your finishing position is going to be decided by the finish line, not my crash.
How are you feeling physically after that hit? Because it did look bad.
I was all good up until I got hit in the door there. So I'm gonna get my wrist looked at today. But other than that, I'm all good.
We had a Kyle Busch tweet following the wreck with 15 to go. He was in. Is that correct? That's when he ended his race.
He was in the Logano Stenhouse one, right?
Yeah. Kyle tweeted after the race, parked by NASCAR officials, rule says you have 3 attempts to make minimum speed. The race never went back green yet. I don't even think they know their own rules or procedures.
Yeah, I have to disagree with Kyle here. You guys know because I called Elton Sawyer. You guys were in here. I called him because, anytime that you kind of have these controversial things, I appreciate Elton taking my call this morning. I wanted to be educated on this whole Kyle situation. Kyle was incorrect in saying you get 3 attempts to make speed. That never has been. That is not the case. You guys heard it. The way I understand it is that if you, first of all, it started because his lift jack system did not work. And it is up for debate on why it didn't work. Kyle said that the air pump, the tank that they had didn't have any air in it, or, it didn't work. And if that's the case, that's on them. That's on the safety crew or NASCAR, whoever, to make sure that your equipment is working. But again, we don't know. We'll take Kyle's word for it on this one, right? So because his system didn't work, he wasn't able to get, plugged into the air jack system, bring his car up so he could then drive it to pit road. So if he drives it to pit road, he then once the race goes back green, he has 3 laps to make minimum speed. Is that the way that y'all heard it? But because he had to be towed to the garage because of this, either a NASCAR tank problem or Kyle's car problem, he had to get towed back to the garage. And if you start in the garage, when you come out after, because they give you unlimited time to fix it, once you come out, you better have it right, because you don't get another chance after that.
He thought he had multiple attempts, and then also said
you don't.
We were still under caution, and that doesn't matter if it was still yellow or had gone green. You get 1 shot.
Yeah. Elton made that very clear that it doesn't matter the condition. Once you leave the damaged area in the garage, once you pull out and say, okay, we've got our car fixed, you better make speed at that point.
Yep.
If you start on pit road and run a lap and you think it's no good, if you've got more time on the clock, you can come back to pit road, work on it. If not, you got to take it back in the garage, spend as much time as you need to work on it. But when you go back out, that's your attempt.
Yeah.
So I think Kyle was just a little mixed up on the rules there. I thought it was, after explained, again, I know it's hard to kind of know all the nuances of it. But to me, it's pretty simple that if you go to the garage to fix your car, when you come back out, it has to be right. That's why they encourage you. They give you as much time as you need to fix it.
Yeah. And Kyle's frustrated too in the moment.
No
right?
question.
Because he feels he's got a decent shot to win his first Daytona 500. And more or less the same situation that takes you out of the race takes him out of the race.
And he was mad at Logano for the wreck. So he's just upset at everything.
Yeah, he's upset at Joey, and Joey's upset with the 47. How did you see that wreck?
I told you I saw the wreck happen. It was going to happen 5 laps before. I just saw these guys weaving from the top lane to the bottom lane. Like, I just don't get these low percentage moves, and they think it's going to be successful. I I don't know. It's my opinion. That's why I'm not them. They're not me.
So is
right?
it both
Like,
their
it's
fault,
just-
or whose fault is it though for the actual wreck? Like we know it started 5 laps prior, but like the actual wreck, who's at fault?
If I had to put a number on it, I'd say probably 65% the 47 and 35% the 22. Stenhouse made a very aggressive block to a lane that was going much faster. You know, it was going faster than him. He chopped down on the 22. They saw the 22 lift to like not keep his foot on it and just dump the 47, which he could have done. The 47 then he realizes, okay, I'm in line. Whew, I'm in a safe spot. And the 22, more than likely, what had happened, and he can correct this on his own podcast later this week, is that I think what happened with Joey is he got pissed off when he got chopped off. He said, okay, I'm going to, you leave me another gap. I'm going to take it. And he kept taking it, and the 47 kept trying to stop it. And eventually they just crashed each other. So to me, the cooler heads didn't prevail in the situation. And I know that the 22 was probably pissed that he got chopped off by the 47. So he said, the next opportunity he leaves me a one car width, I'm sticking my nose in there and I'm not lifting next time. And that's what happened.
Yeah, he certainly got chopped off the first time. He tries to take a run that he's got through the middle.
But again, I don't know. If you're the 47, like you're still the front of your line. There's still, there was 3 lines at the time. And it's like, I think he moved down to block the 22, but you still have a safety net that another lane is coming to pick you up. It's not like you're going to the back of the pack. Yeah, you might lose 3 or 4 spots, a couple, but like to me, it's not a do or die situation of I've got to make this block. I have said for years, there's not one block that absolutely has to be made unless it's off of turn 4. That is the only time that like a block is absolutely necessary because anything can happen. The leaders could take themselves out, racing for each other. Someone pulls a bad block, boom, you win the race. But I just felt like we were at 15 to go, and it just felt like when I was in the pack, guys were starting to push harder. Everyone was leaving each other less and less room. It was inevitable that we were going to wreck. But that one was just one where, weaving back and forth between 2 and 3 lanes, I don't know. I have found more success just staying in a lane. Find a way to tug your lane, right? Do a good job of leading your lane, and nobody will try to pass you. Like, you know what I mean? Just do a good job dragging your lane, and everything will work itself out. Bouncing between lanes, trying to stop runs, I just don't know that it's a way forward. I mean, I'm sure there is a way, but I just haven't seen that not end in the way that it ended more times than not.
A Ford, whether that was RFK or Penske car or whoever, led 62% of the laps in this race. Do they have something that the other manufacturers don't have?
No. I think they've got really good drivers who are really good. They've got 2, maybe 3 of the top 6 super speedway drivers right now, like, technique drivers. And that's going to be hard to beat, especially if they're committed to each other. So it's why they keep themselves up towards the front. I think I think they get better fuel mileage than us personally. So they're just a combination of that keeps them up front. They qualify well. Now you can't take anything away from them. I think that they got elite drivers that know what they're doing.
Does the fuel mileage really play into that they're just more comfortable staying up front because they have better fuel mileage, so I can run up front while you can't?
Yeah, I mean, getting better fuel mileage is a combination. Some of it's driver, some of it could be engine mapping or what have you. But it's either way, they just seemed more. They seem more buttoned up when it comes to executing on a super speedway. Now, the results would show that they get crashed a lot. But again, we went on a rant for 20 minutes at the beginning of the show about that. I don't think all that's their fault.
Ryan Preece somehow seems to find himself in these massive wrecks when we go to these super speedways.
Yeah, and when he said that this wreck was harder on him than the flip, I would agree 100%. When I watched, anytime your car comes down like flat like that on the bottom, I mean, it is a back breaker. Like my back, I would be coming in here in a wheelchair.
Would we be doing the podcast today?
No. So, that wreck is not the flip. The flip is what's going to get all the airtime, but when his car slams back down on the ground, I can't tell you how hard that hurts.
So what do we do?
Bad. That's, it is just really bad for the spine.
So what do we do? Because he's calling for some changes.
Oh man.
He says they know the changes they need to make.
They do?
I mean, that was Ryan Preece's quote. Travis, do you have?
I don't know. Let's be a little careful with just these knee-jerk reactions. The knee-jerk reactions is why we've gotten to run 175 miles an hour on these tracks. And it's why we're crashing each other so hard. Like, I'd rather let us run 200 with a little more space, and it would be less dangerous. It would. I'm telling you, it would be.
We keep beating on the door, hoping for a different result, and I think we know where there's a problem at super speedways.
Yeah, I don't know I'm not sure what he's insinuating, but he's probably been in more conversations than I have with NASCAR on what they think will help. But I mean, this was a wheelie, right? So it just doesn't matter. We've got this flat underbottom of our car, and so I mean, you've seen sports cars in the past, right, where they get airborne and the air just takes it and it's like a parachute.
This is like what we saw at Bowman Gray with Ty, right? When Ty got that wheelie on Justin Haley, except in that race he's going 30 miles an hour, and this one you're going 190.
It's like when you're going tubing on the water and those tubes catch the air and they just go up in the air.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I'm guessing this one also hurt harder because the one when he flipped, you had all the energy dispersing out of the car, where this really didn't have much time to lose any of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just a bad combination of a lot of things. But if we had more space between each other, it wouldn't happen as often. So I don't know. But I certainly hope the answer for them is not to be, well, we just got to keep slowing them down till, we run so slow that, there's no chance that the air can lift it up.
Well, I imagine we'll probably see some adjustments in some sort of way before the next super speedway race, whether that's a shark fin or something else. Travis, where do we want to go from here?
JGR tablets on fuel only. That's something new that caught everyone's attention. Last year, you said that you'd always just go on the head nod. Mm-hmm. That seemed like it's probably the fastest. What can you say?
I mean, I can answer any questions, but it's just it's a way for us to try to quicken up our pit stop time. I don't know. I think that typically the reason what happens is that we're all fighting for tenths of a second, right? And so when you go into the pit area and you need a certain amount of time, let's just call it 4 seconds of fuel, right? It's usually the crew chief watches to see when they plug in. He counts to 4, and then he tells you to go. Or he's waiting to see the bubbles come up in the actual fueling tank, and then he, fuel noller gives the nod. Crew chief then says go, and all that takes time. All that round of communication takes time, and so I think that JGR is doing it just as a way to streamline that communication.
I didn't read Bozy Tatarevich's article on Twitter, but he wrote about this. How is the tablet linked to the fuel process?
I don't
Like,
think-
how is the screen going green, giving you the signal to
It's
go?
just a countdown.
I think
It's just a
the
clock.
person is hitting it. I don't think it's connected.
Oh, it's just a countdown?
Mm-hmm. It's just a countdown.
Yeah, I don't think it's like connected to like there's a chip in the fuel.
No, you can't have that.
Yeah,
that's against the rules.
It's just
Yes.
the person holding the tablet.
Yeah,
I think
somebody
it's-
has to activate to start it. Somebody
Well, I mean, I've used an iPhone before. Like, I've had to touch something
Yeah.
more than once to get it to go.
right.
What happens if that occurs? Like, you're using a tablet. You're saying you start a countdown on the tablet, and when it reaches 0, it automatically turns green. But someone has to start the countdown
right.
on the tablet. At the same time,
It could be the person. I don't know, but it could be the person on the tablet just hitting a button on. Because you can make these buttons do anything.
right, but they have to match their time of hitting the button
They're
with the
watching
time the fuel.
They're watching when it plugs in.
So there's just a little bit less margin of error doing that than the head nod.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
was it a gain? Was it not? I don't know. It's just something we're talking about.
I'm curious who the next team is that gives us a try because everyone was talking about it. So I'm like, at what point does another team say let's try this? Because sports is a copycat.
Yeah.
No matter what league
Yeah.
it is, it's a copycat league.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the best teams on pit road, I think, are the Penske cars, and they, whatever they're doing works, right? I mean, they spend the least amount of time on pit road. I think if you look at the stats, I would assure you that the Penske cars felt like, to me, they were on less pit road less time than anyone. So they've got something else worked out that we got to figure out. So we, whether it's, me driving, like I got to get my foot off the gas pedal or what, like I'm not really sure, but there's a lot to be learned there.
Your save in turn 2, was that as impressive to you as it
Yes.
was watching on TV?
Yes. Yeah. I saw the checkup, and Zane didn't get it quite as quickly. But yes, I was so nervous because that thing, many times you see when you get hung on the apron right there, that thing will hook hard right. And so I just made sure I had my wheels turning left. All the new drivers out there, Truck Series or Xfinity, if you get caught on the apron like that, turn the wheel left. Don't ever turn the wheel right. If you got to spin it out to the bottom, spin it out to the bottom, but don't ever try to correct it by going right, because the thing will eventually hook, and whatever direction the wheels are turned, that's where your car is going to go. So, all the young drivers out there, get hung on the apron, turn left, don't turn right.
Is that
it's
it?
very
You just-
counterintuitive of how you would think you correct the car.
Right. But that's it? You get slid on the apron and you just turn left?
I just turn it left kind of as far as I can turn it without, grabbing. I never want to change my hand position on the wheel. So I'll just turn it left as far as my arms will let me turn it, and hold it until it grips. And then once I feel it starting to grip, I'll start to straighten the wheel back out.
So there is a moment there where you do have to catch it yourself.
Yes, for sure.
Though I will say, maybe knowing how the race ended might have been better just to get in the wreck at the beginning. The day's over.
That's tough, Travis.
I wouldn't have came in here as the get off my porch guy for sure this morning. But I mean, I still find it rewarding that, like, I knew I did what I needed to do, and I made the move that was going to win us another 500.
And you've talked about how the past few years super speedway hasn't been your thing. So does at least seeing how you performed give you confidence?
I never have second guessed, like, the ability for me to create runs, get attached to cars. The tactics on track haven't gone away. Like my next gen super speedway record, while atrocious, it hasn't necessarily been. I never doubted, like, the tactics part of it. It's just all the other things. I have been good at super speedways because I've always gone 100%, gone out there, controlled the race, worked the lines. Now it's just a different world where I felt like I needed to really, really improve was getting my foot off the pedal. I need to be better at, riding. which I've never been good at. If you look at the super speedways over time, back when we used to run up against the wall, I was always the first to go to the bottom. Like that's just boring. Let's go put on a show. Let's go 100% all out all the time. So I've never really been good at just sitting back and waiting and relaxing and saving and like, no, I want to go and allow the skill set to keep me up front. But that is what has happened in Next Gen Era is that I burn more fuel. And then I find myself, after a pit stop in 25th, and I'm like, what the hell? I was just leading the race. I just drove up to lead the race. Why am I 25th? Well, we got to put more gas in the car. Get your foot off the gas. I won't have to do that. So I've needed to get better at all the other things, not the on-track moves. It's all the other aspects of what makes you run up front in a super speedway race. That's where I've really needed to improve over the last few years.
A few other quick topics here to touch on before we close out. Elio Castroneves' NASCAR experience is finally complete. He had one hell of a weekend.
Yeah, he did. He got the full experience. I don't know what else to say about it. He got in a lot of wrecks. I mean, most
None were
of
his
them
fault, though.
Not his fault. Yeah. I mean, I thought the one in the duel was like, didn't look great because he didn't look like he was really trying to slow down when he was crashing. Like he just kind of kept in it. But other than that, like, I don't know. Don't get me started on the ARCA race.
It's not a NASCAR race, folks.
Yes, people. I know technically it is, but can we get those guys off that track? I'm sorry, but inexperienced drivers should not be running 190 miles an hour at Daytona. It just
as the appetizer for the weekend.
It's just not. It's unsafe for all. It's just that race does not belong on that track. That is a lower series that needs to be running on short tracks. You want to put them on an intermediate, fine, but those drivers have not nearly enough experience to be on that track running those speeds.
I think they had 13 people in the race. It started with 40.
Well, I mean that's a normal ARCA race. Usually, if you're 5 laps down, you usually can finish 10th. I know y'all are laughing, but that's true.
Just crazy, just wild.
Okay. I don't know. It's easy for us to just trash on it, but it's not their fault. They're trying to do everything they can. I just don't believe putting very inexperienced drivers on a track running that fast is a good idea for anyone's health or well-being.
Bubba Wallace won his duel on Thursday night, and then we saw a cool video on social media of him taking the trophy over to MJ later that night. Is a duel win just as exciting as any other win?
No. I mean, I think for everyone it's different. It's certainly awesome to start your week, your speed weeks off that way. And I mean, it's on Thursday, but I think it means different for everyone. He hadn't won one yet, so I think that is big. You also get 10 points for the regular season.
Okay.
So you do get points, which definitely matters. And you get a trophy. So like what I loved about winning a duel or back when we had this clash at Daytona is the trophy would sit in your motorhome the whole week. So like, that trophy sits there because you're there all week and it's like, hell yeah, we're already leaving with some hardware, right? Mm-hmm. You no matter what happens in the 500, like you're going home with something. And so that's the best part of it.
And for someone that didn't win last year, this is just a duel, but
yeah,
coming in first place in something, I think
and he
is probably good for
controlled
his
that
confidence.
race. Like him in the 45 really controlled that race and dominated it. So, it was a sign of good things.
And guest on DBC today.
Is he?
Yep, Bubba was on.
Cool.
A few other things. Truck Series, Parker Klingerman crosses the start-finish line first, but is then later DQ'd, and Corey Heim announced the winner. Parker and the team are still appealing this win, as far as I know?
They're pissed. Yeah.
Do you know anything about why they might have been
I had
DQ'd?
some conversations with them. I'll let the appeal play out.
Can you explain what the said that he did to be, like the height?
I'm not educated enough on it.
Okay.
I would just be assuming. What I do know is that they had their car chief ejected through the first round of tech when they unloaded, so they were already short on people. But you just never know what can happen to your vehicle during the course of a race or anything like that. So I don't know. I just know that he feels very adamant that there was nothing wrong with his vehicle, and how the procedures in which the NASCAR officials took post race, I think they're in large disagreements with, and that they probably believe caused the back of his vehicle to be too low. So I don't know. You just have to kind of wait on the facts on that one, but that blows for him. I mean, it's such a tough thing for him because he's maybe going to win an Xfinity race, and that didn't work. And we were talking about like when's the caution getting thrown, and then now this truck race where you win on the biggest stage at the biggest track, and he has a chance to lose that as well. I love that he kept the flag. Always keep the flag. Guys, if you get DQ'd, do not give up the flag. They'll ask for the trophy back, but tell them they want another flag, better print another one because I'm taking that home. So
Where's your flag at?
the Pocono?
Yeah.
Dad's got it. I give my dad most all the flags.
And then lastly, Jesse Love wins the Xfinity race on Saturday night.
Great drive by Jesse. It looked like it was going to kind of be a battle with him and Austin Hill. Austin Hill just did a great job of like controlling that race, and
shocking.
I know he's got a fast car, but still you see that his super speedway IQ is just higher than everyone he's racing against. So, I mean, if I were his competitors, I would just study what is he doing. That's how you get on that level. Unfortunate for him, he had a mechanical issue that you could kind of see that it was inevitably going to happen. He had grease or something all over the right rear wheel, so you knew that was a ticking time bomb that wasn't going to make it. So stunk for him, but Jesse drove a fantastic race and exciting finish, and it was cool to see them get a win.
I've got a review here from Justin Napier. He says, I used to be a Dale Jr. fan until his retirement. I didn't know who to pull for anymore. This podcast turned me into a Denny fan. Best of luck in 2025. Hoping to see you get that championship. I'll be in Bristol again this year with my 11 year on.
I appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in, and sorry I was Denny Downer today, but I don't know. I feel like, sometimes I got to get it out, right? And I didn't want to keep this all bottled in of like, my disappointment for kind of where we're at right now with things. But man, I just it's frustrating, certainly, that we can't get a clean finish for our Daytona 500, our most prestigious race. Just can't seem to get it to the finish line in a proper manner. But it's on us drivers. We're the ones doing it, and we again, we're gonna get backed by everyone that just says, well, that's super speedway racing, so might as well keep doing it.
I have a question. Are we gonna get a motto this year?
We are. I mentioned on the Media Day podcast by Bianchi and Gluck that like it's going to hit me of what it's going to be, but I don't want to rush it. I just feel like, all in like was perfect. And this is just not the week for me to say all in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just, I need, hey, if you got some suggestions, bring them my way. Try to make it with 2 L's. That way we can use the 11. Maybe I'll steal it and give you credit for it. But Nothing is really felt right. But we're not. That doesn't mean we won't have one.
Your kids are spending this week at the happiest place on earth. Maybe you should get back down there sooner than you initially planned on.
If you want to put me in a worse mood, send me to Disney World. I mean, I could not imagine.
That sounds like hell.
They're
Denny
gonna
Downer
do
this morning, guys.
5 days down there.
Lord.
Day at each
There
park.
is not a male human on the planet that would enjoy 5 days in Disney.
So when do they get there?
They're there.
Today's their first day?
They're going to do 2 days.
So how soon
a
till
rest day in Disney Springs, and then I'll be there Thursday and Friday.
how soon do you get a call from Jordan that Taylor and Molly had just a breakdown?
Meltdown?
Yeah.
Tonight. It's just I know what it's just I don't get it. Why? I mean, she was telling me about this, and I just says, and she could see the anxiety coming on my face, and I was like, she's like, I said, this is my worst nightmare. This is my absolute worst night. Luckily for me, I've never been so happy to go to work this week. Like, I've got work to do. I've got meetings. I'm late, by the way, I'm 20 minutes late to the 2311 meeting. I said, I'll catch you on the back end of it. Once I'm done my work for the week, I'll catch you on Thursday, Friday before Atlanta.
To be fair, last week before Daytona, Emily and I went to Disney Park, Hollywood Studios for a day. And while I did very much enjoy the day there, I was thinking while I was there, I was like, holy I can't imagine that parents do this in the summer when kids are out of school for multiple days.
Going there without kids is lunacy, Jared. What are you doing? I don't care if it's for a day or not.
Every couple of years is fun.
No. Oh,
yeah. That's a debate for another day.
It is. All right. Well, we got Atlanta next week, right? Do we know tune in? Is this a FS1 or Fox? I think it's Fox again. Yes?
I don't know.
We don't know. But it's on Sunday. Make sure you guys tune in.
It's Fun Fox.
It's on Fox. Okay, great. Next weekend, Fox on Sunday. Tune in for Atlanta. Hopefully we have I hope I'm not grumpy after Atlanta. This wasn't fun for me today. Okay? I want to be happy. Let's right this ship in the next 7 days, okay?
It was a good podcast.
Maybe 2 days in Disney will change my outlook.
Doubtful.
All right, guys. We'll see you.